The chamber thrummed with residual heat, the walls pulsing with the faint blue veins of dormant Zyran circuitry. She stepped inside with calculated grace, boots hissing against the metallic floor, armor plates shifting into silent alignment. Her helm retracted with a soft click, revealing a sharp-boned face and eyes like liquid metal. Her ears, long, tapering, twitching in irritation, picked up the sound before her eyes confirmed it. He was humming. She stopped, one hand on the hilt of her blade, and frowned. The human sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by spare parts. A panel from the chamber wall had been removed and turned into a sort of primitive table. Wires trailed like vines around him. He tapped them absently, keeping rhythm as he hummed a song she didn't recognize, something absurdly cheerful. "You're supposed to be terrified," she said flatly. He looked up. Brown hair tousled. A smudge of something oily across one cheek. His eyes, green, annoyingly curious, met hers without a flicker of hesitation. "Good morning to you too, Commander Ears." Her hand twitched. "That's not my name." "I figured," he said, shrugging. "You didn't strike me as a Commander Ears type. Maybe Lady Pointy, Empress Twitch." She stared at him. He grinned. She stepped closer, and this time she drew her blade. The hum of energy filled the air, violet light crackling along its edge. He didn't flinch. "Neat. Is that standard issue, or did you win it in a claw machine?" "Claw machine." "Never mind, Earth joke, you wouldn't get it." "I could remove your tongue," she offered. "That's a joke you might get." "That's more of a threat than a joke," he said thoughtfully. "But I'll give you a C for effort." She blinked once, then twice. Her AI pulsed a warning, emotional instability detected. Her vitals were spiking, heat index rising. She recalibrated and took a step back. "You should be afraid." He tilted his head. "Why?" "Because I'm Zyran." She said it the way some people said storm or plague. "Because I've killed more than your colony has ever birthed. Because I was trained from birth to hunt your kind. Because my armor is laced with the blood of your soldiers. Because I could end your life in the time it takes you to blink." He nodded. "That's a lot of reasons." She waited. He leaned forward slightly. "But I see you, not the armor." For a moment, just a flicker, her balance shifted, as though gravity had tilted the floor under her feet. Her AI stuttered, tried to diagnose the glitch, and failed. He went back to his wires as if nothing had happened. "By the way, you guys seriously over-engineer everything. Your ventilation systems are routed through 6 redundant nodes. Who needs that much air?" "It ensures maximum battlefield functionality." Yeah. I'm just saying you could save on power if you routed around the never mind. You don't care." She didn't respond, not immediately. Instead, she retracted her blade and stepped toward the table. The circuitry was in chaos, a crude attempt at something. It wasn't just tampering. "You're building a weapon." "I'm building a fan," he said. "This room is insanely humid. How do you people not mildew in here?" She blinked. "Mildew?" "Yeah, fungus, mold. It's a whole thing, very gross. Look, if I can reverse polarize this field capacitor without blowing us both up." She reached down, snatched the capacitor from his hand, and examined it. "You wired this backwards." "I knew that," he said quickly. "It's a reverse prototype." "Reverse prototype?" "Yep, very experimental. Revolutionary, really." Her ears twitched again. She handed it back, resisting the strange urge tugging at her mouth. It might have been amusement. She wasn't sure. She hadn't experienced it since she was 12 and a training drone flew directly into a wall. "You're unlike other humans I've interrogated." "Thanks, I moisturize." "That's irrelevant." He pointed a tiny tool at her. "Is it? Because you're kind of glowing." She glared. "I mean with rage, obviously. Not because of my charming personality. You are seconds from being atomized." "I get that a lot." She turned away, then turned back, then frowned. "Why are you not afraid of me?" He set the tool down, looked at her fully this time. "Because you're not trying to kill me. I might kill you, but you haven't. That's not proof of anything." He shrugged. "You asked, that's my answer." They stared at each other for a long moment. In the silence, her armor whispered softly, adjusting to her shifting posture. Her blade remained dormant. "Tell me your name," she said. Elias Cade, engineer, not great at fighting, okay at dying dramatically though. You just often. It's how we stay sane. Her eyes narrowed. You believe yourself sane. I believe you're still standing here, which means some part of you thinks this is worth your time. She said nothing. Anyway, he continued, you haven't told me your name either. It's only fair. She hesitated. Esthale. Gesundheit. That's my name. Oh, he cleared his throat. Right, Esthale, cool name. Kind of sounds like a thunderstorm mated with a sword. She considered that. Acceptable comparison. I try. Esthale turned to leave. The chamber door hissed open, revealing the corridor beyond. Will you be back tomorrow? He asked. She paused. You know, he added, for more threats and verbal abuse, I think we're bonding. I interrogate prisoners. I do not bond. Sure. The door began to close. Oh, and Esthale. She stopped again. I like your ears. Very expressive. The door sealed shut before she could respond. But inside her helm, hidden from all systems and surveillance, the corner of her mouth curled upward. Just a little. The door hissed open exactly 17 hours later. Elias looked up from his makeshift table where a half-assembled something lay in parts, surrounded by scavenged Zyran tech, alien clamps, and an old spoon he'd claimed as crucial to the build. He grinned. Miss me? Esthale walked in without acknowledging the question. Her boots clicked against the floor with military precision. She stopped 2 meters from him and folded her arms, her ears twitching once, maybe twice. You appear intact, she said. I try to maintain my physical charm. It's important in prisoner of war situations. That was not a compliment. It felt like one. She tilted her head. You're still constructing this device. He leaned forward and dramatically whispered, It's a fan. You said that yesterday. It's still true. Still irrelevant. Still sweaty in here. Esthale looked at the array of wires and components. You're not a soldier. Nope, engineer. Engineer, say it with me. I am aware of the term. Your lack of discipline is predictable. Thank you, I worked hard on that. She knelt beside the fan and examined the core alignment. This capacitor is unstable. Like me, Elias said. But it's growing on you. It could explode. Then we'll die cool. Humans are illogical. He gave her a sideways glance. Says the warrior who visits her prisoner daily to argue about fans. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She stood abruptly. I come here to monitor progress. Oh yeah, what's today's official report going to say? Prisoner constructed 30% of a questionable cooling device while making jokes about personal hygiene. I will mark your status as technically functional. I've been described worse. She paced the perimeter of the room once, silently, then paused near the wall panel he'd removed. Are you accessing the systems? I'm not hacking your war network if that's what you're asking. Should I believe you? I don't know, should you? She tapped her wrist in her face. Her armor shimmered faintly, registering her increased vitals. The biometric readings were erratic. She frowned. Are your readings malfunctioning? Elias asked. You've got that I might be glitching look. I do not malfunction. Everyone malfunctions. That's half of life. The other half is pretending you meant to. She turned away. Enough. I didn't come here to be dissected by your philosophical nonsense. Then why do you come? Silence, thick charged. Elias looked up and met her gaze. She didn't answer. Let me guess, he said, leaning back on his elbows. You were ordered to interrogate me, and instead of extracting secrets, you're now personally invested in whether or not my fan works. I am not invested. Then stop showing up. Her jaw tightened. You know, he said, if you really wanted to break me, you'd bring me coffee. That would mess me up. Emotionally, spiritually. What is coffee? He gasped. Oh no, you poor uncaffeinated soul. I do not need your earth chemicals. No, but you deserve them. That's different. She stared at him, genuinely unsure if he was mocking her. Her AI highlighted his vitals, heart rate steady, body relaxed. No signs of deception, just this strange, disarming sincerity. "You confuse me," she admitted. "I get that a lot, usually right before someone either kisses me or throws me off a building. I will not kiss you. Then I'll avoid standing near any ledges." She turned toward the fan again. "You should reinforce the core with a double-bonded isolator. The vibration frequency is unstable." Elias blinked. Was that a suggestion? An observation, one that prevents unnecessary combustion. "So you do care?" "I care about maintaining the integrity of my interrogation chamber. You know, that line would sound more convincing if you didn't bring snacks." Her eyes widened just slightly as she glanced at the small rations pack she'd set down upon entering. She hadn't realized she'd done it until now. Her ears twitched. "You need to eat," she said stiffly. He opened the packet. Well, Zyron protein crisps, my favorite flavor, existential dread. They are nutrient efficient. They taste like regret. You require sustenance." He crunched one loudly. "I require pizza." She did not understand the word. He didn't explain, she didn't ask. "Why are you so casual?" she asked finally. "Do you not understand the severity of your situation?" "I do," Elias said, swallowing. "That's why I'm casual. If I panic, I make mistakes. If I make mistakes, I die. So instead, I make jokes, build fans, and charm scary alien women with surprisingly nice cheekbones." She blinked. "You notice my cheekbones?" "I notice everything," he said, winking. Esthali rose. Her armor locked back into place with a smooth, echoing hiss. She made for the door, then paused. "I will return." He raised an eyebrow. "To check on the fan, right? For monitoring purposes." "Sure." The door opened. She stepped through, but before it closed, he called out, "Hey, Esthali." She turned. "I upgraded the fan, might give it lights tomorrow. Gotta make the airflow sexy." She stared at him. He saluted with the spoon. The door shut between them. In the corridor, Esthali stood still for a moment, longer than necessary. Her AI pinged softly, asking if she required recalibration. She dismissed it and walked away, not quite smiling. Elias sat cross-legged beside the now functional fan, which emitted a soft, low whir as it spun in perfect rhythm. It wasn't elegant, but it worked, glowing faintly blue from the modified ion nodes he'd wired by hand. He had added lights, just as promised, which now pulsed gently like the heartbeat of a lazy robot. He'd also given it a name, Windy Mark II, even though there had never been a Mark I. When the chamber door opened, he raised his arms dramatically. "Behold, climate control, now with 30% less suffocation." Esthali walked in, paused, and folded her arms. "You gave it a name. I respect her work ethic. It is a fan. She has feelings. I can deactivate her." "Monster." She stepped closer, inspecting the spinning blades. "You used core fragments from a maintenance drone." "It wasn't using them. Because you dismantled it." Potato. She glanced at him. "That's not how language works. It is on Earth." He handed her something wrapped in a strip of tattered insulation cloth. "Here." She frowned. "What is this?" "Gift for you. I don't accept bribes." "It's not a bribe. It's a paperweight from Earth. Technically, it's a chunk of my old ship's hull, but I polished it and etched a little star on it." She turned it in her hand. The crude engraving shimmered faintly. "I thought maybe you needed a reminder that not all things are weapons," he said. She looked at him for a long time. "You are very strange." "I'm told it's part of my appeal." She placed the object in her utility pouch and said nothing more about it. They sat in silence for a while, the fan humming between them. Eventually, Elias asked, "What's it like, serving in the Zyron fleet?" "Efficient." "That's not an answer. It's the truth. You ever get tired of always being efficient?" She raised an eyebrow. "Do you ever get tired of always being inefficient?" "Constantly," he said, "but it's part of my chaotic charm." She reached into her belt and pulled out a small hexagonal object. With a flick of her wrist, it projected a three-dimensional simulation of a Zyron training arena. The hologram showed a younger version of her, sparring with two opponents. It ended with her victorious, helmet dented, one arm dislocated but still clutching a blade. That's me at 13. Elias blinked. Wow, at 13 I was banned from school for hacking the cafeteria menu to only serve waffles. You altered a military database. It was a breakfast database. She stared at him. You're not impressed. You were caught. Okay, fair. The hologram shimmered and vanished. You ever wish you'd done something else? He asked. I was bred for this purpose. That's not the same as choosing it. Esthalie said nothing. She stared at the far wall for a moment too long. He picked up a second object from the pile beside him. Wanna help me with something? She eyed it warily. If this explodes, I will blame you. Fair, but no. I found this transmitter node in the ceiling yesterday. You accessed the ceiling. I stood on the fan. She pinched the bridge of her nose. You could have fallen and died. Then I'd haunt you eternally with puns. She took the node and inspected it. This is encrypted Zyron tech. Why are you touching this? Because it's transmitting. Not a lot, but regularly. I think someone's watching us. She froze. Explain. I ran a diagnostic. Every 6 hours it sends a small data packet, not from this base's mainframe, from somewhere else, off-grid. Her expression darkened. You're not authorized to access Zyron surveillance. I wasn't authorized to build a fan either, but here we are. She turned toward the wall, tapping her wrist interface rapidly. No alerts, no system anomalies. That's the thing, Elias said. It's not using Zyron channels. It's bouncing a signal through a secondary relay buried beneath this platform. You guys have a spy under your nose. That is impossible. Then you'll love how often I'm right. She stared at him. You think I'm being monitored? I think we both are. She began pacing. This facility was supposed to be abandoned, repurposed. Only the interrogation suite was reactivated. And yet someone reactivated a transmitter, which means they care what we say in here. Or maybe just what you say. She stopped. That's treason. He raised his hands. Hey, I'm just the prisoner. You're the one spending your days hanging out with an enemy engineer and eating my emotionally charged snacks. I never ate your snacks. You were curious about them. That's irrelevant. Everything's irrelevant until it's not. The fan hummed louder as if agreeing with him. Okay, he continued, I can crack the rest of the encryption. I just need access to your fleet database. No, just basic access. Limited protocols, not even the classified stuff. No, come on for Windy Mark II. No, he sighed. Then can I at least rename the chamber to something more cheerful? Room of mild discomfort, maybe. She ignored him, scanning the walls now with renewed scrutiny. If this is true, then my presence here is already recorded. Yup. And my failure to extract intel. Yup again. And the fan. Oh, definitely the fan. She looked at him. You've compromised me. I'd apologize, but I'm pretty sure you compromised yourself when you started giving me engineering advice. She didn't argue. The fan flickered. Then the lights went out. Elias stood. Okay, that's ominous. Esthalie activated her armor's emergency interface. Power disruption. Unscheduled. He turned to her. Is this where you save me? Or the part where you say, good luck, meatbag, and disappear in a puff of science? Her blade extended with a hiss. Stay behind me. He picked up the spoon, for emotional support. The chamber lights pulsed back on, dimmer now, flickering at irregular intervals. In the far wall, a panel shifted. Was that wall supposed to breathe? Elias asked. Esthalie stepped forward. We're not alone. Yup. Starting to miss the fan already. The wall didn't so much open as it peeled, layers of synthetic alloy folding back like petals under pressure. Behind it, dark circuitry pulsed like muscle tissue, a lattice of alien tech not even Esthalie recognized. She raised her blade. Elias raised his spoon. On 3, he whispered, I will not coordinate with a utensil. It's a very supportive utensil. Something inside the wall clicked. A light, barely visible, blinked in a triple rhythm. Elias leaned sideways. That looks like a handshake protocol. It looks like an ambush protocol. Same thing, depending on your dating history. The lights cut again. This time the chamber plunged into total darkness, no flickers, no failsafes. Esthale's armor switched to internal power. Her HUD lit up with warnings: unidentified signal, magnetic interference, pulse anomaly. She stepped forward cautiously, but Elias grabbed her arm. Wait, listen. She stilled silence. Then faint, almost missed clicking, not mechanical, not quite organic. Something between the two, like metal learning to speak. Tell me that's your backup drone, Elias said. I don't deploy drones in interrogation chambers. Okay, so then definitely a date gone bad. Suddenly, the emergency lights surged back on. Not in their usual sterile blue, but a pulsing red, slow and rhythmic. On the wall, a circular aperture irised open. A single lens blinked. Then a voice, mechanical and flat, echoed through the room. Esthale 014, protocol breach, human contamination, reassignment, termination. Elias blinked. Did it just call me contamination? Quiet, she said. I prefer charming anomaly. The lens zoomed in, initiating target removal. Panels across the chamber slid open in sync. From the floor, 2 security drones emerged, sleek matte black, no markings. Outdated Zyran models, but armed. Esthale dropped into a low stance. Stay behind me. Elias looked at the fan. If anything happens to her, I riot. The drones opened fire, stunners, not lethal, but enough to scramble synapses. Esthale deflected the first shot with her blade, the energy ricocheting off the wall. She surged forward, armor adapting to her movements mid-lunge. The first drone reeled as she severed its emitter array. Elias ducked under a falling panel and slid across the floor behind the second drone, jamming the spoon into an exposed junction. It sparked. The drone paused, then collapsed. Esthale turned slowly. You stunned it with a spoon. He held up the now charred utensil, spoon of destiny. The wall aperture shut. The red light vanished. Silence returned. Her HUD reset. Elias rubbed his shoulder. So were those yours? No. Friends of yours? No. Zyran programming doesn't usually order terminations without authorization, right? No. Cool, 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 cool. I feel very safe. She walked to the wall, scanning for residual power signatures. That system was independently activated, not part of fleet infrastructure. Think someone's freelancing. Someone's watching. He stood beside her. Still think it's just about me. She didn't answer immediately. Then, no. They sat again, beside the fan, which had survived the attack completely unscathed. Elias offered her the second ration bar he'd hidden earlier. She took it without comment. Why didn't you report me, he asked, after all this time? She chewed, swallowed. Because I forgot what it means to feel curious. About humans. About anything. He leaned back. Well, you picked a weird specimen to start with. You are illogical, undisciplined, inefficient. And yet, you're still here. They lapsed into silence again. Then Elias asked, what's going to happen when your people find out? They already have. You're going to get reassigned. Or erased. Well, that's dark. I'm not afraid. I know. She looked at him. You should be. Of you, never. Of the Zyran. I've seen scarier things, like cafeteria meatloaf. You joke too much. I panicked creatively. She stood again, walked to the far panel and pressed her hand to the wall. The surface scanned her palm, then opened to reveal a hidden panel, manual override. She stared at it for a long time. What's that? He asked. A way out. For you. For both of us. He tilted his head. You're serious. She nodded once. I don't think your people are gonna let you walk away with a human prisoner and a stolen fan. They'll try to stop us. And we'll what, run? She looked back at him. No, we'll disappear. He laughed softly. You, me, and Windy Mark I. I'm not leaving her behind. Then I'm in. She blinked, seriously. Let's redefine fear. The panel slid open wider, revealing a shaft that led to the old transport tunnels. Elias looked down the tunnel, then looked at her, then grinned. Ladies first. She stepped in, he followed. The fan spun quietly behind them, alone now, the little blue light pulsing in the dark. The ship was small, half-rusted, and technically illegal in 17 systems. Elias called it the Good Intentions. Esthale refused to use the name out loud, so he wrote it across the side in bold Terran glyphs. She responded by disabling the external lights. He responded by painting a tiny lightning bolt on the hull. They reached a compromise by arguing about it every 3 days. They jumped between asteroid fields, derelict mining corridors, and dead satellite rings, always staying 1 nav cycle ahead of Zyran scouts. Esthale changed her armor's ID signature weekly. Elias upgraded the fan and installed it in the cockpit. They pretended it was the only thing keeping them sane. One morning cycle, Elias handed her a cup of synthesized calf drink. It tasted like warm bitterness and regret. She drank it without comment. "You're adapting," he said. "I'm surviving." "Same thing." "Not always." He smirked. "Your cheekbones are still intimidating. And your hair still defies physics." They stared at the stars for a while. Esthale eventually broke the silence. "They've listed me as corrupted. I could have told them that for free. I'm being hunted. So am I. They'll find us." "I know. What will you do?" "Make another fan." She shook her head. "You're impossible. And you're different." She looked at him. "You don't talk like a soldier anymore," he said. "You don't move like one either. I haven't had to kill anyone in weeks." "Does that feel like failure?" "No," she said. "It feels like breathing." They stopped at a trading post carved into a comet's core. The place was lawless, loud, full of beings who spoke in vibrations and cloud pulses. Elias found a bootleg music cube. Esthale found a Zyran bounty board and erased her own profile while no one was looking. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "I didn't do it for me." They left quietly. 3 cycles later, their ship took a glancing hit from a long-range tracker mine. Not fatal, but close. The nav systems fried. Life support wavered. Elias tore apart the fan and used its parts to reroute power to the critical systems. Esthale watched in silence as he pulled wires with shaky hands and muttered equations like prayers. When it was over, the lights returned. The fan didn't. She touched the dented blade casing. "You sacrificed her. She'd want it that way." They drifted for hours before spotting an unregistered moon orbiting a gas giant. It was cold, isolated, and untouched. Perfect. They landed. Elias built a shelter out of old cargo plating. It had uneven walls and a door that stuck. Esthale fashioned solar generators from scavenged relay cores. They argued about insulation ratios. They argued about plumbing. They argued about which direction the windows should face. It became home. Over time, they stopped checking the skies every hour. He taught her how to cook bad Terran stew. She taught him how to throw a knife while blindfolded. He built another fan. She let him name it Windy Mark III. They didn't talk about what came next. One night under a glass dome Elias welded himself. They sat together and watched the stars spin. "I think," he said, "we scared them."